Hi, everybody. So welcome to the Introduction to First Voice Project. I'm here with Dr. Carrie Morris, as you can see, and her writing studies classes form a learning community with our humanities class. Some of you are in both my class and Dr. Morris's class, and some of you are not. That's okay. For this project, we're all going to work together, okay? Dr. Morris is going to talk about what's happening on the writing side of things, where you'll turn a story into a script. And then I'm going to highlight some tips you'll want for recording your story successfully. And we're also going to show you an example of Shiquinta's story. And Shiquinta, for those of you who are not in my class, is our peer mentor. So she was in our classes last year, and she recorded a draft of her story, and you're going to see an example of that coming up right now. One other announcement is that everyone is welcome at the Wednesday live session for Humanities. So we meet every Wednesday at noon. And if you're not in my class, Dr. Morris will share the link with you, right? So like I said, we're all going to work together on this. So let's take a look at Shiquinta's video before we get going. Okay, here is Shiquinta's story.
Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
Then we better maintain visual contact.
No? You gonna say hi?
Oh.
So if someone was to ask me about my breastfeeding experience, I would pretty much say, like, though it didn't go as planned from the beginning, like the end result was like really rewarding. So when I first, like, even before having a kid, I knew that I wanted to breastfeed. I just thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was like healthier. And then once my sister had a kid and she did it, that was just like all the more reason to do it. So once I found out I was pregnant, I just decided, hey, hello, sir. I'm not doing formula, I'm going to breastfeed. But I ended up having a C-section, and I didn't really get to hold my baby or come into contact with him. So it was hard for me to produce milk in the beginning. So he ended up being on formula for a week, and I couldn't get him to latch. So I was pumping, and when I finally started pumping and actually producing milk, like, I was so excited when I started filling up bottles, and I was able to build up my supply in the freezer. Once I go back to work, he can have milk. And then after the first week, when he went to the hospital, he went to his first doctor's appointment, his pediatrician had told me that to stop giving him formula and to not give him bottles at all, so just put him straight on the boob. So I didn't know how to get him to latch, and I watched a YouTube video, and from that YouTube video, I learned how to get him to latch. And the first time getting him to latch, I was so happy. I was running through the house, showing everybody, look, he latched. But after that, it was just tough, getting my body to produce enough milk. So I had to, drink this tea called mother's tea, and it was this other tea called Milky Mama. I used to drink that to get me to produce more milk. And then another thing, I had these pills called fenugreek. It smelled weird, tastes weird. It was big, and those were supposed to help, but those didn't really help. But probably after the first few months, it was just natural to me, and here we are. He is going on 13 months, and we are going strong with breastfeeding, and he don't seem like he wants to stop.
So I'm really glad that we were able to see Shiquinta's video. One of the things that I want to say about her example is that it's a little bit deceiving in that it looks as though she's just sitting on the couch telling you a story. And it just came out of her mouth, and there was the story. She knew what she was going to say, and it just happened. And actually, Shiquinta wrote about the breastfeeding experience for her literacy autobiography. For those of you who aren't in my class, that's Unit 1, and students write about how they became literate in various things. And Shiquinta's paper looked at the process of learning to breastfeed by talking to other people, by being on YouTube, by reading materials and all of that. So when it came time to choose a story to tell, she chose that one. And what you probably don't immediately see, in fact, there's no way you could because it's kind of hidden, is that she really pulled out the story of breastfeeding itself and then left aside the literacy aspect of it. She didn't make that the main focus because it became clear that that was the story she wanted to tell to the camera. So she had written a script for this and it was available to her, but you'll notice she wasn't reading. She was just telling her story. She had become so familiar with what she had put into the script. She knew what steps she wanted to go through. And then she was ready to just sit back and be natural. And I just love the natural quality that she achieves. You know, there's no sense at all that she's reading. There's no sense that this is anything except just a story that she's telling us. So that is kind of the goal of our project, is to do that kind of thing. What you will do is to choose a story that you've already written. So it's either going to be the literacy autobiography that you've written in my class or one of the stories you've written for Dr. Pagone's class. Then you're going to choose that story, and then we're going to work to develop that story into a script. If you are not already in my first year writing class, you are welcome to attend. We have synchronous meetings on Mondays at 11. And I will send you the Blackboard, or I will have Dr. Pagone post the link to that class, and you can join us. In addition, I'll provide all of the information that you need from that class. So you will take the longer story, develop it into a script. One of the things I'll have you do is create a storyboard. So I'll want you to be thinking about concrete images and concrete ideas that you will shape your story around. And we will take a look at those. You will post those for others to read, and then you'll go back and revise them again, and hopefully have another chance to revise them. At the same time, I think that you will be working on the performance in Dr. Pagone's class. And one of the things that I want to make clear is that it's natural that as you're working on the performance, your script itself is going to change. I think it's smart to go ahead and have those changes reflected in the script, even though by the end, I think it may be the case that you don't actually use the script to perform. One final word from me about the writing that you do. This is all based on revision. And I want you to know that this is something that can be included in your portfolio if you're in my class. And you can continue working on it even after we've recorded the videos and so on. My email is kmorris2, KMORRIS2. And I would be glad to communicate with any of you. You are all welcome in my class anytime. So I will turn this over to Novia.
Wonderful. So in my class, we're going to be focused on telling your story to the camera, right? It's still a process of revision, right? Practice and revision. But instead of it being written, it's going to be a story that you tell. Now, I've talked before about how I'm an introvert, and I understand that being in front of a camera does not feel natural to everyone. It's not my favorite thing. But this assignment is about you, isn't about you being perfect or looking like a professional actor in front of the camera, right? It's about you telling your story, just like Shiquinta did, in your own voice, in your own style. there'll be time to practice and receive feedback and to support one another, right? And I think taking Shiquinta's example, the way she tells her story, the way she is in her own space and speaking in the way that she wants to speak is the best tip I could give you, right? So I do want to highlight a couple of quick highlights of what you'll be doing to get ready to record, right? We'll be supporting you through this whole process, just like in how in writing you'll be supported. The same thing will be happening for the performance. So like I said, similarly to the revision process in writing, you'll record a draft of your story. You'll have opportunities to receive feedback and revise before doing the final recording. Some of that revision may happen in, you'll have as many times as you want to record drafts of your story. But some of the revision may end up happening in the script, and then eventually it will translate back to the final recording. So don't worry too much about what version of the story you're recording. We just want you to keep practicing and getting comfortable. So some things to keep in mind will be the recording setup, which we'll talk more about on Wednesday, right? You want to think about camera and location. Lighting is really important. The way you see yourself in the camera is the way you're going to be seen by everybody else, right? So if your face is nicely lit and you feel comfortable the way you look, that'll be perfect, right? We want to be able to see you. So you don't need to buy any equipment. So when you see some of the videos that we provided for you to look at, like how you need to set up, your location, lighting, and all of that, some of them might say that you can buy equipment. You don't need to buy any equipment. You should use what you have available. That can be a phone, your laptop, if you have an iPad or something like that, right? Even some cameras allow you to record, right? So if you don't have a device connected to the internet, we can always talk about that. You'll get detailed instructions for how to record and how to submit. And like I said, you'll have an opportunity to submit a draft version and to get feedback from me and Shiquinta. I really encourage you to do this because you can, practice with your setup. You can practice with using Zoom, and we'll work on that next week in week 11. You will see on our schedule for my class that I am giving some time for you to be able to work on your script. That next week, almost all of next week is dedicated to writing. So even though you won't be doing writing in my class, I want you to work on your writing. If you're in my class and you're not in Dr. Morris's class, take that opportunity to participate in the peer review and things that she's doing in her class so that you can benefit from that. So I'm purposely kind of giving some open space for you to be able to do that. Please take advantage of Shiquinta and her time. She went through this process last year. She helped mentor other students in the class last year and worked together. So she'll be very generous, I know, and will be able to help you feel comfortable doing this and tell the best version of your story that you can. And then finally, we'll have a live practice. So you'll see November 18th, there's a Wednesday live session where we'll be inviting Dr. Debbie James, who's a media professional and a professor at GSU in media studies. And she's going to join us to give some feedback and to help you sort of hone your story, right? When I say feedback, it's not judgment. It's just there to help you tell your best story in the best way that you can and you want to. And so that's all we're hoping is for you to be able to tell your best story and to be able to record it so that you can share it with the rest of us.
And one more thing that I want to add, Novia, is that Dr. James is incredibly encouraging. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to leave feeling like, oh my gosh, I've got all this stuff I have to work on. Instead, you're going to leave thinking, oh, this is something I do really well. And I'm going to emphasize this thing I do well. And I want you to think about your audience in general as really a friendly audience. Your audience are each other, I mean, we want to hear your stories. We want you to succeed. So you don't have to worry about us sitting in judgment and being strict and firm and so on. We like hearing your stories. Also, I know that you know Shiquinta. Some of you, those of you who aren't in my class, don't know Sarah Wyora. Sarah is not a peer mentor. She is what's called a supplemental instructor. So she provides writing support if you need it. And she has also said she'd be delighted to help you, whether you're in my class or not.
That's wonderful. So you'll have lots and lots of support. The purpose of this project is to think about revision, writing and revision, performance and revision, and also to participate and kind of come together as a group, right? So it's not about, is your story good or not? It's about, did you do the work to revise your story and to record it and to participate and support each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can hardly wait to hear your stories.
Yeah, me too. Me too.